Boy, oh boy, we're in for a treat today. This guy has very quickly become a really good friend of mine. We've talked a lot, and we're going to see if we can keep this thing to an hour because I have a feeling that we could just go and go. On the show today is Omar Medrano, author of What If It Did Work. Omar got his start in the business as a franchisee, owning some of the top performing franchises in the world for over 20 years. Since then, he's been featured on BuzzFeed, Entrepreneur, TED Ed. He's a best-selling author of What If It Did Work. He's got a podcast. I mean, this guy is a jack of all trades, and he is an incredible coach helping entrepreneurs get past the fear that is involved in starting and maintaining a business. So, Omar, man, it is such a pleasure to have you on. Welcome.
The pleasure's all mine. Bob, to be on your stage, I mean, I'm humbled. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invite, brother.
Yep, absolutely, man. And we also have a lot in common. He's a CrossFit buff. So we talk about working out, we talk about business, we talk about life. Omar, I mean, let's start at the beginning, man, because you have such an inspiring story of what you've built and where you've gone since then, and now helping so many other people accomplish the same thing. So talk about at what point in your life did you say 9 to 5 grind ain't for me? I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
The 9 to 5 grind. Sorry about that. Here, you're going to laugh. The 9 to 5 grind, it was never in my system. I had so many bosses that were not that were not leaders. They were just bosses. Lived in scarcity. Don't do this. Don't do that. Yep. Make me more money. Make me more money. I was a number. One of the first signs was I was a producer at Fox 44 in Baton Rouge, TV, Kids Club. And my boss was always riding me. He was a big fan of Miami Vice. And he told me I needed to quit to give the job to somebody that deserved it because I needed to go back to my $1 million mansion. Because clearly, everybody that lives in Miami lives in mansions.
Of course.
and he was like, and I just came out of a fraternity. So I thought he was hazing me. I thought I had to earn his respect, but the guy just didn't like me.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you very quickly said, man, I got to take control and be my own boss.
I wish I had said, take control and be my own boss. I drank the Kool-Aid. My mom worked 30 years plus with Ma Bell, AT&T, wherever they want to call themselves, and she hated it. But she's like, Omar, you need to follow my path.
Yes.
You need to go to school, get a degree, and you need to work in corporate America 20, 30, 40 years, hating life, and then one day you might retire.
Yeah.
But and it was crazy because my mom wanted me to choose that path, but not once did I ever see her happy. She would always tell me stuff like, Omar, you better graduate from school fast. I hate this job. I hate this job. And then to this day, my mom only sees success is if I went back and I worked for an S&P 500 corporation.
And
her, that's winning.
Yeah. And that is so much of, I mean, I think that's a generational thing, right? Because, our parents, the economy was very different. The Great Depression was very different. And back then, job security was valued. Go to school, get a job, get a pension, have a retirement, and that's winning. And so it's understandable that, they think that way. But really, the other thing is when they say get a stable job, all they're really saying is get a job for an entrepreneur that is so massively successful that you view working for them as a stable and consistent thing. You're still working for another entrepreneur. Sometimes people feel like this job security thing, working for a big corporation, like that corporation was still started by an entrepreneur that had a heck of a lot of guts.
Clearly, each and every company, unless you work for Uncle Sam, which started out as a small 13 colony that grew up to be one of the greatest, to be the greatest country. No, everything was small. Walt Disney World didn't become Disney World. He was working out of a studio.
Yeah.
bet all his money, all the chips on
Yep.
an animated movie,
Yep.
Snow White, and then he just doubled down and tripled down and grew and 100x'd it. But you're
Yep.
right. Every major publicly traded corporation at one time was a mom and pop.
Yep. And there's a lot of adversity that you face when you decide to become an entrepreneur, whether that's from, friends, family, coworkers. I remember when I built my first business to quit my teaching job as a middle school teacher, they all said, "Rob, you're crazy. I don't get it. Like, you're going to quit to go write music. Like, I don't, but you have pension and you have tenure." Meantime, these are the same people that bitch about the job every single day. Every day. They're not going to change anything. They're still probably teaching at the school to this day. But they don't have the courage to do something. And so they project that fear onto you. And it can be very challenging, especially when it comes from loved ones. In your instance, from your mom, right? Especially when it comes from very close people in your life, it might really make you second guess, like, should I do this?
Oh, it's always your biggest fans are always complete strangers or people that you will never expect to cheer you on.
Yeah.
My best friend never read my book, has never listened to a podcast episode. And I grew up with the guy. My mom doesn't believe in personal development, business development.
Yep.
She purchased a book.
Yep.
But that's about it. She'll never open it. She'll never listen to this podcast. She'll never watch any podcast. And you know what? Bless her heart, because she's supported me in so many other ways.
Yeah.
But if we have to wait for the acknowledgement, if we have to wait for the kudos, the cyber hugs from our own family, we're going to be stuck. I mean, I wrote my book at the time at a girl that I grew up with at her place. And her words were to me were, "Who am I to write a book? Maybe I should go work for Uber." And to me, it was like mind blowing. But now I get it. I don't need your confirmation.
Yeah. And that's so common is, as you were saying, people you don't know supporting you, some of your closest friends and family telling you, what are you doing? Like, at some point, everyone wrote their first book. At some point, I mean, I'm writing my first book now, never wrote one, but I have the guidance. I got the blueprint and I'm doing it. And one day when I have over 10 books, I mean, people will think I just snapped my fingers and wrote 10 books, but it doesn't happen that way.
Well, you're like R. Stein, so maybe they'll think R.L.
Yeah,
Stein.
the goosebumps, dude.
No, but the thing is, you have to start somewhere, but you have to believe in yourself, man. Yeah, this is my first book. I've got a second book. Who am I? But who was Stephen King? Who was Chuck Palahniuk? Who was Zig Ziglar? Who were all these people at one time to write a book?
Right.
It's mind blowing. Yes, you have to start somewhere. And everybody that's famous, one, they were never instant stars. There's no microwave to success. There's no overnight to success. And at one time, they weren't uber famous. They're just a struggling person that had a dream and that expanded their vision.
Yep. And it can be done, man. It can be done. Now, you are a big advocate for asking for what you want. And so many times, I mean, I see that all the time when I coach entrepreneurs, especially in sales, real estate. I was teaching a webinar last night, and so many people were like, "Oh, well, I guess I could try to get some referrals here, but I'm afraid to tell them I'm an agent." Like, why? Like, ask if they need help. So, Omar, I mean, in your opinion, what is it that has people so afraid to ask for what they want?
People are afraid to ask what they want because they're fearful of rejection. They don't understand that no is just a temporary thing. No, it doesn't mean, "Hey, Rob, you suck." No, it doesn't mean, "Omar, I'm not worthy." It's just a timing thing. You can ask out a girl and she says no, that doesn't mean you're a complete creep. It just means she might be in a relationship. She might have other plans. You can always revisit. When it comes to asking for the sale, it's always no until you literally ask, and ask with confidence. Don't stutter. Don't stammer. Don't just ask for it. What's the worst they can say? They say no. Okay, well, maybe it's the wrong product. Maybe it's timing. You can always revisit that. And that's called following up, but never take a no personal, because there's a million different variables. It's never we're not worthy or that we suck.
Right. Yeah. They're not saying you're a bad person. They're saying no to the opportunity that you're presenting them.
Of course.
I mean, that happens all the time. Like if you ask someone to buy your thing and they say no, it just means they're not interested in your thing. It doesn't mean that they don't like you personally. I mean, asking for what you want, you can apply that to anything. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to ask for what you want. For example, when I go to a hotel, 8 out of 10 times when I ask for a free upgrade, I get it because I just asked. I just asked for it at the end of the conversation after we established some rapport. It's a powerful thing. Now, what are some tips, some practical implementation? Because there is someone listening to this right now that is saying, yeah, but how? Like, how do I get over that fear? What would you tell someone that says like, Omar, I'm with you, man, but how do I do that? How do I overcome that?
You overcome your fear by doing, by being. Confidence is, you can achieve it. You can bring it. Enough of the swagger, enough of the confidence. Don't fake it till you make it. What you need to do, start small. Start stacking win after win, small win after small win. And before you know it, your base is going to grow because you have confidence and you can go hit the home runs. But the problem is people go for the gusto. People want it all. And then when they can't get it, well, you have no foundation. You have no basis. Clearly, you're out of your league. And that's with everything. That's personal. That's asking out for a date. That's asking for a sale. That's trying to get a presentation.
Yeah.
Start small, build your confidence, become that person that you want to be, and then the rest will fall into place.
Yeah. It's taking action. You just have to take action. And there is no substitute. There is no substitute for taking action. And so often people get stuck in that analysis paralysis mindset of, I'm afraid to do this because, or there's so many things I could do. I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing. What thing should I do first? And I'm just going to do nothing. And the problem with that is when you do nothing, you're only pushing your own finish line further away. You're only hurting yourself. And if your goal, I mean, so many people have such noble goals like to help other people. Well, you can't help other people if you're not thriving. And you can only learn how to do that by taking action. And with action comes results that will give you the confidence you need.
Exactly. Here, perfect example. We always say, well, I don't want to be too pushy, or that person knows what I do. Everybody knows what I do. I don't want to be desperate. Wrong. You are being selfish for starters. You have the answer to someone's problem.
Yeah.
I know because as an entrepreneur, I felt that way. No, everybody needs to know what I do. And if they don't, that's on me. And it took me like a year to start getting clients because I felt, hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing a podcast. I wrote a book. No, I had the answer to that problem. I had the answer to that business's problem. I need to present. I need to ask for it because nobody's going to say, hey, Rob, hey, Omar, can you please help us out? No, you have to say, you have to present, you have to have confidence, and you have to justify that you're here to answer their problem.
Absolutely, man. I tell, when I'm coaching my real estate agents, I tell them that all the time. No one, when you call someone, no one is going to say like, oh, thank God, I've been waiting for a realtor to call me. Holy smokes. I can't wait to meet with you and talk about the process. That's never going to happen. And of course, like you said, if you don't talk with confidence, they're not going to have confidence in you.
Well, why should they?
Right.
Why should they buy from you if you don't even believe in yourself? If you don't believe in your product? So many people are like that. We're all in sales. And whenever somebody's, I hate sales. I'm not in the sales. That's like like nails on a chalkboard. We're all in sales. You're selling something. You're selling yourself. I've always been Omar Medrano, LLC, 49 years of being it. Please, don't ever feel that way. Nobody's going to, you're here to sell yourself, your product. Give us a compelling reason why we need to know you, why we need to use your services. And please tell us how you can solve my problem, because most problems are causing pain and you don't want them to go through even greater amounts of pain.
That's right. Money is exchanged when problems are solved, right? If I'm trying to, sell someone's house, they don't want to sell the house. They have a problem they're trying to solve via selling the house. What is the problem that I can help you solve? It's so important to know. Now, as you, as you were going through your entrepreneurial journey, again, you started franchising and you absolutely just dominated there before you went into, the coaching side of things. So let's talk about that for a moment, because one thing I'm always intrigued to know with the impossible to fail framework, which relies so heavily on getting the blueprint, getting, guidance from someone that's done what you're trying to do. Did you have a coach? Did you have a framework? Did you have a mentor, someone that as you got into your first entrepreneurial, journey of franchising, did you have someone that was guiding you, or were you more going solo?
No, I was never going solo. I always sped up to the process because I was already in the world of personal development. I was already reading books. I was already into Anthony Robbins. I knew mirroring. I knew having a mentor would get me to point A to point B faster. So my mentor actually mentored me into profitability, into scaling. And not only that, he started writing books, and he was a ghostwriter. Well, he still writes books. He's still alive, and he's still an entrepreneur till this day. So I followed that path. He sold his stores years before me, but I always considered him a friend and a mentor. And all I had to do was ask. And he said, yes. I'm like, Nelson, can you please show me? That's all you have to do. Never be afraid to ask someone for help.
Yeah, you have to. And I mean, it makes no sense not to, especially if you're starting something that's brand new, you have to learn how to do it from someone that's done the thing you've done or you're trying to do. You gotta get the information from the source. Now, as you continued with that, what was it? Because you had I believe you said, about 20 years in that industry. So what was it like growing those businesses, getting multiple franchises? Like, did you have a tipping point where you said, man, like, this is really working. Like I'm making this happen.
Oh, I had confidence with my ex-business partner, my ex-wife. I was still, it became easy to own a business. It became easy to scale out. It's easy, but you have to want to scale. You have to want to be an entrepreneur. You have to want to be a leader, a business owner, not a worker. Do not be a slave to your business. So many solopreneurs, so many entrepreneurs think that they own the business. In actuality, the business owns them. And it's like having that 40-year-old child that's never left home. It's a burden. And a lot of people get hurt because either they shouldn't be entrepreneurs, not everybody's designed to be a business owner, or two, they just don't know how to lead. They just know how to be a boss.
Yep. And those two things are not synonymous. If you think you're leading and no one's following, you're just taking a walk, right? You have to lead by example. Always, you absolutely have to lead by example. There's no doubt about it. So you grew that franchising business, and then what was it that made you want to step out of it? Because when we spoke about it, you said, hey man, that was like, I crushed it, but that was a previous life. I'm now doing all these other things. So what was it that made you say like, all right, I'm going to move on and start pouring into other people?
Rob, I wish I could tell you I had an exit strategy, even though I was feeling unfulfilled and I felt like I was chasing money. The franchisor found a loophole to get my ex-wife and myself. We owned separate stores out of the system because we're too vocal. And also, it was not the original franchisor. He purchased it from the founder, and he didn't like the simple fact that we were both outspoken. Because when it comes to having a premium product, you should never discount. Never try to discount. Never chase sales. Never chase people. Never beg that. You're not creating loyal fans.
Yeah.
All you're creating are people that will only come to you when there's an offer. So since we didn't have an
Mhm.
exit strategy, they said, to quote the Japanese, sayonara.
Mm. Wow. Wow. And so that was, so that was a pretty quick cutoff. So,
Oh, yeah.
so how did you decide where to go from there?
Well, life works in mysterious ways.
Mm.
While they were in the process, because they were telling me that my ex-wife was paranoid. She was telling me I'm not going to survive. They want us out.
Mm.
They were telling me, hey, don't worry, your ex-wife, she's paranoid. Millie doesn't know what she's talking. Well, I
Right.
was writing, what if it did work? Now,
Mm.
one, the book is like an infomercial to them because I felt like I was still going to be part of the system. In
Yes.
fact, my second book quotes them a lot. In fact, Entrepreneur Magazine, there's so much, and I still have nothing bad to say about them,
Right.
but they completely ghosted me. Now,
Mm.
you see, everybody always said I should write a book. Everybody always said I should charge, I should coach, I
Mm.
should speak on stage. That was already within me. That was my exit strategy. But if it wasn't for the God, the universe, and Smoothie King, I'd still be stuck in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you felt the calling, and now, I mean, it's incredible, through your book, through your podcast, how many people now you're able to help. And right. And, I've said this quote before, but I heard it recently. So I'm just Jones, and I say it all the time now, but I love it. It's you find your greatest purpose serving the person you used to be. And so
Oh,
is that what you feel is fulfilling you now? Because what you're doing is you're helping all of those people that used to be where you were.
mhm. You see, in the world of franchising, when you're doing great, they take 100% responsibility because it's the systems, it's
Right.
them.
We gave
And
it to you on a silver
yeah,
platter.
man. But here's the good one. When you're below standards in your sales, because it could be many factors, location, economy, weather, they shut down the main street in front of you. On
Mhm.
a competitor moves in,
Mhm.
something detrimental happens.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just literally they help choose a horrible location. It's never, what can we do to help?
Mm.
It's always, hey, so why are you below standard?
Mm.
Why are your sales sucking? But it's crazy, right? Because I mean, here you're accepting all the kudos and all the love,
Yep.
but you don't take one iota of the responsibility of your horrible sales.
Mhm. Yep. They always want to place the blame. They'll take the glory, but they won't
Take
actually
the
help
glory,
you. Yeah.
never take the blame.
Wow. Wow. So obviously what you're doing now gives you much greater fulfillment.
Oh yeah, clear. I mean, the signs were there. I mean, the guy, a complete narcissist. I mean, the guy
Mhm.
is on undercover CEO.
Mhm.
Clearly, if you're a Mother Teresa, clearly, if you're an amazing CEO like a Howard Schultz, you don't have to disguise yourself. That's one of the worst shows out there.
Yeah.
And then the guy hosts during Corona, during lockdown, and he still does. He unfollowed me or he blocked me. Would post like $700 bottle of wine every day.
Mm.
And it's like, holy smokes, dude! Your system, the people under you are starving, are drowning, are struggling to
Yeah.
survive, and you're doing this.
Freaking clueless, man.
You're
Wow.
a clueless narcissist, and he friended me literally after I got red tagged, after they said sayonara.
Man. Wow. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
and then the best part is, and this was sincere. Well, maybe it's a little passive aggressive. He blocked me when I sent him a message if he wanted to be on my podcast.
never mind. I'm not going to put in the hot seat, he said.
No, but when it comes to my podcast, I've had people on that have hated. It's not about that. You
Yeah.
see, I used to be a journalist. I've got 2 degrees in journalism. If
Yeah.
I did interview the CEO of Smoothie King, you would have never been able to tell that I had ill will,
Right.
that I felt like these guys are
Right.
cutthroat, that
Right.
I helped build a brand for 20 years when nobody knew what the product was
Yeah.
here in Florida. till this day, nobody ever from corporate, nobody ever said thank you. Nobody ever said anything. Once I sold, it was like, in fact, they say like I was horrible for the system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man. And here you are actually building their thing for them.
Oh my God. Rob, you want to know how much I built that system for my franchise?
Yeah.
Because this was before internet and this was before social media marketing and
Right.
all. I was the type that would go in a blow up costume in the Florida heat. Hey, everybody.
Right.
Or I would hold a sign.
Yeah.
A guy with 2 degrees doing all this, sampling at 5Ks, sampling at 10Ks, waking up at 3 in the morning to help market. But yet, and that's why, you know, I'm like, really, I was horrible for the system. It's like, in what aspect? Clearly, the 18 years, 19 years, you sure as heck loved me. And it's funny because I sold the stores to somebody that I thought was a friend, and she drank the corporate Kool-Aid. And the first thing that my ex-general manager told me was, she said that you and Millie were cancers to the system. Like, really?
Whoa. Wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, that's so fascinating because, you know, I actually had a guest on a little while ago, who's very much into the franchising world. And it sounds like in this instance, because of the company you aligned with, man, that you just got a bad luck of the draw.
The company changed when the founders sold to people change, relationships change, corporations grow different. Clearly, it wasn't the same for the first part of it.
Right.
That's why, you know, I had no ill will. I have lots of friends that are still in the system.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of the organization now, from the top, the guy that bought all the way, he has hired henchmen.
Yep. Yep.
Cutthroats. But when you're a cutthroat, that's who you're going to hire. I have no problems with franchise. If somebody, Millie, my ex-wife, she sells franchises now. That's her next, or her ongoing career. We don't hate franchises. I don't hate franchises. I just say sometimes it's like a relationship. Sometimes people change, companies grow, companies are different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. So we've talked about the franchising, which I was excited about talking about. We talked about what you're doing now, your book, your coaching. We're going to take a bit of a turn on another topic that we really have in common. Let's talk about working out, because you and I are both gym buffs. And one thing I've really noticed as a very common thread of high performers like you, is the fact that, you know, fitness, taking care of yourself, is a really important part of life. And that is a discipline that carries over. So first, let's just talk about, like, what kind of working out do you like to do?
The type of working out that I love to do, I love to do everything. I used to love running marathons until I tore my ACL. I would run marathons, half marathons. I would do obstacle races, do Spartans, because in life, you have to go through, you have to go over the obstacle. Why do I love CrossFit? Because being an only child, I've always loved the extended family concept. I was a fraternity brother. I was the vice president of Sigma Pi chapter at LSU. It's the same when you're CrossFit. It's just an extended family. So I love doing CrossFit. I love spinning. Since I tore my ACL, I at another franchise, I do cycle bar. So I do that. Free weights, weight training. And a non-negotiable I have is I'll go wherever I go. I have to work out, even on a cruise.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. I was just at went to Arizona for a great mastermind, and I got to Phoenix early, had a few hours, went to a Lifetime Fitness, got a workout in. You know, we were all staying at a huge like mansion Airbnb, and we did a group workout every morning at 7:30. It was more like body weight stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a bodybuilder. I gotta do some weights, right? So I woke up early, 5 a.m., got to a gym before my second workout. The day I flew home, got to a gym before the airport, I mean, that type of discipline, like you, like that definitely carries over. So how have you noticed, that the fact that you're so passionate about taking care of yourself, how has that carried over to your business life?
My business life, because you have to be obsessed. You
Mm,
have to, you can't be half-assing it, whether it's working out, whether it's in a relationship,
mhm,
a personal or a business relationship, whether
mhm.
you're in sales or you're an actual solopreneur or you own a brick and mortar, you have to be obsessed. You
Yes.
have to be all in, and you have to train yourself that when you aren't feeling like it, that you get up and you go on. You go to the gym when you're not feeling it. When it's a little sore, or you can sleep.
Yeah.
You know, if I need sleep, then I'll sleep the next night and I'll make sure to go to bed early.
Yeah.
It starts with discipline. It's called a habit. And the 21 days, that's crap. That's something that they put up on poster boards. It
Yeah.
takes a lot longer to ingrain that into your system, and it becomes second nature and a non-negotiable.
Yeah, man, 100%, 100% right. You know, one of my real estate coaches helped to write a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Gary Keller,
An
I've
amazing
read
book.
that multiple
Yeah,
times, brother.
love that book. And in that book, you know, they talk about the fact that studies were done. It actually takes at least 66 days to establish a habit. So one of the things that my coach did for me, and now I include with my coaching students, is the 66-day habit tracker. It's very simple. It's just a piece of paper that has 66 boxes on it, and you check each day. And if you do it by day 66, chances are that will become a habit. But sometimes those habits, you know, when you see high performers, it's because the things that they need to do that you don't want to do, they have turned into a habit, and it becomes second nature. Like, no one has to tell me to go to the gym anymore. No one has to tell me to brush my teeth. No one has to tell me to brew my coffee in the morning. Like, these are things I just do. When the things that you have to do as a business owner become that level of second nature, that's the game changer.
Oh yeah. That's why we can program ourselves. That's why most people 9 to 5 corporate America,
Mhm.
they're zoned out. They're like a robot. They don't even know how they got to work because it's
Yeah.
like second nature.
Yeah.
You know that drive, you know the exit, you're just programmed. It's ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of my agents on my team said recently, like, man, I want to feel like I wake up every day and like it's just on cruise control, you know, like I'm just crushing it. Like I don't really feel like I'm facing any adversity or resistance. And I mean, he's been in it for about a year. He's an amazing guy, absolutely crushing it. He has such a go-getter, but you know, it took a while to ingrain that. Like, number one, um, you will never feel like that. Like you will never feel as an entrepreneur that you face zero resistance.
Yeah, it's called it's called Fantasyland, or it's called business school
Yeah.
at your local university.
Yeah. And you know, I know what he meant. He just meant that like he wants to like just know exactly, you know, what he needs to do. So of course, part of that is getting the blueprint from the right person, but part of it is also just the fact, and he has been so good at establishing these habits, which is why he is taking off so very quickly and achieving incredible amounts of success in such a short amount of time, because he takes action. Like we've talked about, he takes action and he instills habits. And when the habits again become second nature, that's, as an entrepreneur, when you feel like, okay, like I don't have to feel like I'm struggling to do the things I know I need to do. And that comes from results. So chapter 3 of my book, and this was actually the first time you and I met, you said, Rob, word on the street is that you say mindset doesn't matter. What's that about, bruh? and and now I do have, I mean, obviously I'm a mindset dude. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel called Mindset Monday. But what we're talking about here is that, you know, and you and I are on the same page about fear, right? Beginning entrepreneurs have fear. And I believe that the mindset is changed by results. So if I'm coaching someone and telling them about relentless consistency, massive action, don't stop until you get what you want, that is a concept they will be able to grasp. They'll be able to say, well, yeah, I believe it. Like, you know, Rob's become successful, and so I'm just going to listen to him. But they're not going to believe it in their heart, in their soul. Those brain paths won't actually be formed until they get those results. And then they go, holy smokes, yes, this does work. Massive action, relentless. I'm all in. And I mean, success is the most addictive drug there is, right? Once you get a taste of it, that's when the magic happens. But until then, you must have the desire and the discipline to form the habit, which leads to the mindset change, which leads to the results. And then it's all just a beautiful circle that keeps compounding on itself.
That was weird. When you get that first yes, when you get that first deal, when you get a complete stranger to buy into what you're selling, whether it's a program, whether it's coaching, whether you get somebody to buy a book, become your agent. When you close that first deal, that's when you know you have arrived.
Absolutely.
That's when you know maybe this does work, because you're always apprehensive until you start seeing money. You know, when people, I almost never counts with results. I told you earlier that, you know, I'm going to get my real estate license and do that as a side hustle. But could you imagine, Rob, if I kept on telling Keller Williams, EXP, whatever, yeah, you know, I went out there, it was good. I had good vibes. I almost got a listing. I almost got a sale. What's that going to do? But yeah, we're training people. We're training young kids that results don't matter. Just show up. Really.
And that's, I mean, that is kind of a mindset pandemic that's going on right now, is that, you know, I mean, you see people, well, I gave it my best and that's good enough. Like, no, it's not. Like, not if you want the results, you know, but when we have that, everybody gets a trophy just for showing up. And also when young people are not held accountable. I mean, this was one of the reasons that I was really excited to leave teaching. You know, took me 10 years to build my first business, to be able to quit my teaching job. And I distinctly remember, I mean, again, I was a music teacher, right? And I remember that there was a kid who, now, I mean, it wasn't that hard to get like an A in band. You show up to your lessons, you have your instrument, you practice a little bit. Like it really wasn't that hard to do. You know, I was teaching middle school, and there was a girl that literally never came to her lessons, never practiced. I mean, zero commitment. And I was extremely generous, and I gave her a C. And it, you know, report cards were about to come out, and mom goes on the grading portal and she sees her kid is getting a C, which was still quite generous, by the way. And she sends me a message and she says, hey, you know, my kid is like missing honor roll only because of your grade. Would you be willing to give her a B so she can make honor roll? And I mean, at that point, I stopped being shocked by that question, because it happened. It wasn't the first time. And I was like, well, no, you know, because she doesn't deserve it. Like, she doesn't practice. She doesn't have her instrument half the time. She seemingly gives zero effort. And so she doesn't deserve that grade. So I'm not going to give it to her. Mom goes to the principal. Then she goes to the superintendent, and the superintendent calls me into his office because he's just bowing down to the parents, because he's, you know, because he's just trying to stay the superintendent. And he's like, hey man, like, so, you know, what do you think about this? And I was like, dude, I'm not going to do that. Like, how much is she going to escalate this? This is nuts. And he was like, you know, I think it might just be easier if you just do it. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to be out of here in a few months. I know it's my last year. Like, whatever, man. Like, I don't have the time or energy to go to a, you know, have a complaint filed at a board meeting or something like that. But I mean, that's the kind of where we're living right now. And it's important that, you know, young people know, like, you want something, you got to work for it, man. Like, you got to work for it. There's no shortcut to hard work.
Well, I got something, but, you know, different time. We're Generation X. went to the illustrious LSU, Louisiana State University. I'm from Miami, out of state tuition, single mom, worked 2 jobs
Mhm.
to float that. And I had a class, Dr. Day, he's dead. So he's been dead for like 30 years. And it was media law, and it was the midterms. So it was an important exam. I was 30 seconds late to class, and I apologized. I said, "I'm sorry for being late."
Mhm.
And he said, "That's not my problem. That's your problem." And you know what? I accepted it. I had to go drop the course, and he was right. And it was a lesson that stuck with me.
Mhm.
Always made sure I'm on time.
Yeah.
I didn't go talk to you know, the board. I didn't talk to the head of the journalism
You
department.
didn't have your mommy call.
Didn't have mommy say, "Hey, it's out of state
Yeah.
tuition," and
Yeah.
"Hey, he's a minority or single parent," or
Mhm.
any. It is what it is.
Yeah.
He was right. It was my problem. I should have been there on time.
Yeah. And that's how you learn. Like the lessons you learn from the most are the hardest. And as an entrepreneur, oftentimes the most expensive ones.
Oh,
You're like, wow, I spent a lot of money on that and that did not work. Like you won't make that mistake again.
exactly.
Yeah.
Failure is a gift. People have to
Mhm.
look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's not a destination. It's not finality. It's a gift.
That's right. That's right. And failure is only failure if it's permanent. If you quit, you have failed. But if you have the mindset that like this isn't a failure, this is a learning experience, and you have to learn, like learning what doesn't work is just as important as learning what does work. There are zero entrepreneurs that exist in the world that have never faced any obstacles. But what happens is when you realize these things worked, these things don't work. So because these don't work, I'm going to try this. Now this works. The things that don't work lead you to find what does work. And that's why you need to take action and you need to move as fast as possible, because the faster you move and the faster you find out what doesn't work, the faster you will find out what does work.
Exactly.
Man, good stuff, man. We always have such great conversation.
And you're gonna love this question, Rob. This was on somebody's podcast, duo. Clearly not as amazing as you, because I social media stalk you because I love your content.
Likewise, dude.
And we're like-minded people.
Yeah.
The two of them asked me, so when do you tell people, or when is it a time that, hey, it's not working, quit? And I'm like, I don't understand. And they asked me the question again, and I'm like, why isn't it going to work? And like, because some people just, I'm like, no. I'm
Wow.
like, the incompetent person will get it done eventually because he keeps on trying.
Yeah.
The person that has quote unquote potential just is a nice way of saying he is lazy.
That's right.
There is no, if you continue and you keep on pressing, it took what, Thomas Edison 1,000 times to get the light bulb.
Right.
So yeah, imagine if those two cats were like, well, hey Tom, we're at like number 200.
It's not working, bro.
It's not working,
I mean,
brother. It's time to call it quits. So yeah, they doubled down. And I'm like, no, there's never a time to say give up.
Does not compute.
You want to write a book, write a book. Self-publish it. Who cares?
Yeah.
If you want to write a screenplay, write a screenplay. There's people that become actors in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Who's to say, but to say you quit? Never quit until you reach that goal, until you become that person that you've always wanted to be. I've had people ghost me, that I thought they wanted to be on my podcast and they didn't. Oh, can I be on your stage? Crickets. Or how much are you going to pay me? You know what? Fine. You don't believe in me, but I believe in myself. I believe in my journey. And that's all you need. The person that believes in himself will eventually get there.
Man, there's no doubt. You got to get educated and just implement with enough time. And I mean, there are two things that come to mind. I remember one time, this was maybe 3-4 months ago. I do a free real estate mastermind every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, completely free to come. And there was a dude on there that has been coming, but he was just constantly not taking action. And he'd say, "Oh, it's not working. It's just not working." Well, how many open houses have you done in the past, couple months? 2. Well, bro, you got to do like 6 to 8 a month. Like, come on. Like, of course it's not working. And I said what I always say: listen, if you get the blueprint and you implement it with relentless consistency, massive action, and time, it is impossible to fail. And he says, yeah, but how much time do you give it? And once he asked me that question, I knew for sure you're not going to last. You asking that question tells me you're not going to last. That also took me back to, I remember my wife and I, when we moved here to Austin, Texas from New Jersey, I had built my first business and I was still full-time entrepreneur writing music at home, but she was a health and phys ed teacher. And when we left that state, we left her consistent paycheck and her rockin' awesome health benefits. And we just went all in. Let's do real estate, man. Like, not licensed, just got licensed, didn't know anyone. We're in a sea of 20,000 other agents, but we tried really hard. We aligned with coaching, and it took us 7 months to get paid. 7 months to get paid. Now, I made about 45 grand in the first week of getting paid, but that took 7 months. And I will never forget one time when it was like month 4 or 5, and we're on the couch, literally like in tears, looking at each other because we just got back from an open house that we worked our asses off for, and like no one came, because that happens sometimes. And we're looking at each other like with tears in our eyes, saying like, what did we do? Like, did we make a huge freaking mistake? Like, what if this doesn't work? What if we, and then, the dust settled and we said like, no, like, failure is not an option. We will not fail. We're going to keep going. We're going to be relentless. I'm going to double down. I'm going to work harder, but I will not stop until I get what I want. And it worked. It took another couple months, but it worked. And it just goes to show, Omar, like you just said, you give it enough time, you have enough grit, you will always get what you want.
Always. It's a guarantee. It's like what Eminem says, till you collapse.
Yeah. Would you say
and when you collapse, you get up after you're done, and you keep on pressing forward.
That's right.
Till you hit that goal, until you hit that target. Never lower your standards. Never lower your goals. Never lower your dreams.
That's right. Yep. 100%, man. Love it. Omar, as we begin to wrap up here, I'm going to ask you the last question I ask all of my guests, and you have such valuable feedback here. I know this is going to be gold. So listen up, y'all. Omar, in your wealth of experience as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a businessman, as a good person, what advice would you have for the listeners out there that have big goals? They have big dreams. They want to do big things. And what advice would you have that if they listen and implement what you say, it would be impossible to fail?
Mind, body, spirit. You can't be overweight. You're going to be dragging ass. You need to be in shape. You need to believe in yourself. You need to accept yourself. You need to love yourself. You are worthy. You're worthy of success. You're worthy of your dreams. Quit settling. You're not a settler. Quit settling for crumbs in your relationship, in business. What you do is you need to have clarity. What is it that you actually want? Write it down. Be specific. Have 100% clarity and create a timeline, a deadline. When is it that you're going to succeed? And by when? Create a plan. Write it down. Write down what you're willing to give up. To get from here to there, you're going to have to give up things. You're going to have to give up people. You're going to have to give up vices. Sometimes these people are people that you felt hold you. They're not holding you up. They're holding you down. And never, when it comes to your dreams, never settle. Never let someone tell you you can't do it, because those people, those people never dreamt to begin with, or they quit dreaming a long time ago. So many people quit on themselves, quit on their dreams because they listened to the wrong person. They listened to the wrong advice. Don't be fearful of success. Success is infinite. It's in abundance. There is no scarcity to money, and there's no scarcity to success.
Wow. Holy smokes, y'all. It's a good thing this is like on YouTube and on channels, because I think I'm gonna need to rewind that at least a dozen times today. That
Well,
was
I'm glad I
gold,
shaved
brother.
then. If you would have told me it was on YouTube, I was just on a webinar. I was in a suit. I would have. I'm just joking with you, man. You know that, but I was in a suit.
Yeah, man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, man. I mean, absolute gold and 100% accurate. Now, Omar, of course, for the listeners out there, if you're listening to this in the car, you're listening to the audio, remember that the video is available on my YouTube channel at robstein.tv. We're going to have all of Omar's links on there, all the ways you can access him. But Omar, for the listeners out there, what ways can people get in touch with you, go deeper with you? Where can they buy your book? Where can they find your stuff?
Definitely. And this is for everybody. Promote, promote, promote. Those are the three things you need to do for success. I'm not ashamed. I'm not bashful. This book, I memorized it, not because I lived it, but because I live it. But yes, what if it did work on Amazon.com, self-publish? I don't know how many books. I will self-publish until a publishing company comes. And then you know what I'm going to tell them? I'm going to tell them what took you so long. That's one.
Yeah.
And anybody, I implore you, you can DM me, you can text me, you can fax me, you can telegram me, you can send me smoke signals. I will answer. Today, when we're filming this, it's the patron saint of lost causes, the feast of St. Jude. And I don't look at people as checking accounts. I am in service. So unless you're trying to sell me crypto, unless you say I look like crap and you're going to make me look like I'm 20 again, don't bother. But if you have an actual question, if you need help, I am in service. You can find me at omarmedrano.com. Omar Medrano on every social media. Now there's a fake account on Instagram. I'm the one with more followers, and I'm the one that'll never pitch you crypto. I will only pitch you on living out your dreams.
Man, and that is
what if it did work? On Facebook, Rob is a member. What he needs to do is, like what I tell everybody, it's just not me. We can all post. It's a safe environment. It's not for woke people. It's for people that want to be awake and live their best life and their best dreams possible.
Man, love it. And that's so true, because I'll tell you, every time I've shot Omar, we DM all the time on Instagram. And I mean, he is so quick to respond. He's so generous with his time. He is genuinely a good man that cares about people. He will pour into you. So y'all, seriously, this guy is full of gold, and take him up on his offer, because he'll change your life.
And Rob, you know what? Anybody, if this is the first time listening to Rob, I love this guy. He's the one that it just popped up into my head because I connect with him. And yes, I will, by October 31st, woo, I will find out how to get my real estate license. I don't care if it's in person. I don't care if it's virtual. I don't care if it's both. I don't care if it's written. I'll do it, and I'll follow him, because Rob is in service, and he wants to make sure that everybody wins. He wants to see you win. Did you hear that? 7 months. What an overnight success. But it took him 7 months for that first commission check. And you know what? He will show you how to scale that time to make sure you don't do the same mistakes. But at the end of the day, I don't care if it takes you 12 months. If you continue doing something, don't quit. Real estate agents, don't quit. Financial advisors, don't quit. If you're in sales, all you need to do, you need to believe in yourself. You need to learn how to sell, and you need to promote, and you need to pitch. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. That just means you're one step closer to that yes.
Hell yeah, man. Love it. Love it. Well, I think we also just confirmed then what our next podcast booking is going to be is after you get that license and you get that fat commission and you've built a monster business, we're going to have you back and talk about the process.
I'm going to have the publisher house clearing check.
That's right. Perfect. Omar, this has been great, y'all. Again, What If It Did Work? It's available on Amazon, omarmedrano.com. You can find him on social media, and make sure to check out the video at robstein.tv because we're going to have all the links posted there. Omar, as always, man, I mean, every single time we get together, it is an absolute blast. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to doing it again real soon, brother.
All righty, brother. Love you.
Love you too, man.